Normally when I sample for earthworms, I'm going to a specific site that I've found before using maps ahead of time. And then when I get there, I lay out a plot, usually a 25 by 25 centimeter plot. And I'll sample about 6 of those normally. Before I get started sampling earthworms, I have to sample the vegetation. So one of the most important things is to measure the depth of the leaf litter, because earthworms can have large effects on leaf litter. So to do that, I just place my ruler on the ground and look for how far it goes below the leaf litter layer. So here you can see that there's no leaf litter on top of the soil, so the measurement is 0. I usually do that 4 times within the plot in each of the 4 corners. So here it's 0 in all of the corners. Then I have to record that on my data sheet. I usually also record temperature and some vegetation data, such as the types of trees that are nearby and the shrubs nearby. Look for middens on the top of the soil, and these are the droppings from earthworms. So basically they're poop on top of the soil, and they make these big mounds. You can see that there's one in the middle of my plot here, this large lump here, and another one over here in the corner. And it looks like there's just 2 in this plot, so record that on my data sheet as well. The next step is to remove any leaf litter from the surface of the soil and sort through it, looking for earthworms and their eggs, which are called cocoons. In this case, there's not really leaf litter, so I just remove the loose soil at the top. So here I've taken off the top of the midden, and there's a hole where the earthworm lives below that. I'll remove a few other pieces of litter. Normally the leaf litter layer is quite thick in a forest, but here the earthworms have removed a lot of the litter. So then if there was a lot of litter, I'd sort through it by hand, looking for earthworms and their cocoons, just breaking up the pieces of soil and leaves. The mustard acts as an irritant to the skin of the earthworms, so they come out of the ground to try to escape it. Then I'm able to collect them. It doesn't kill them or anything like that. So you have to mix up the mustard solution quite a bit, because it tends to solidify on the bottom. Okay. Then I pour 1 liter of half of this on the soil first. Then normally I have to wait 5 minutes to see if any earthworms come out of the soil. Okay, there's a little one coming out right now. So it's important to let them come out of the soil entirely before you pick them up. because they'll grab on with their tails otherwise. So here I've got 3 little earthworms so far. And you can see a big one emerging from the burrow that I had pointed out in the middle of the plot before. And now he's totally out of the soil, so I can pick him up. And I put the earthworms in a vial filled with water until I can take them back to the lab to identify them. So after 5 minutes, I'm able to pour the rest of the mustard solution on. And shake it a bit more. You want to try to find a relatively flat area to sample if you're using mustard, because otherwise it will flow out of the plot entirely. Typically I'd remove the loose leaf litter and vegetation from the plot first, and put it on this tarp so that I can sort through it to double check that there are no earthworms present. If there were a lot of leaves, then this sorting could be quite time consuming, and there probably would be quite a few earthworms in the leaf litter. So once I've removed most of the loose leaves from the surface of the soil, then I sort through it all, just looking by hand and breaking up clumps of leaves. And sometimes the earthworms can be quite small, so it's important not to go too quickly through the soil. One more way of sampling for earthworms is to walk around and look under leaves and logs, and it's just a quick way of determining if there are any earthworms present. So in this case, I could flip this log here and then look for earthworms. When you flip a log, you need to be quite ready to look for earthworms that second, because they do move away fairly quickly. So here I got one. Sometimes there's also worms in the soil attached to the log, because some earthworms like to feed on decaying wood as well.